Greetings. Welcome to my late stream. Do I ever snook it? What is snooking? What's up, everybody? Hello, hello. You want my voice? What are you going to do with my voice if I give it to you? Are you going to bounce on it? Sorry. Whose birthday is it? He's stimming. Just listen to his voice on the bass part of a speaker. It's true. Thank you, reading desert stories. I'm planning a trip to Arizona to play in the desert. Let's go, dude. Sorry. I was at a recital. And they killed it. Absolutely killed it. And then it made me think of this song from Lord of the Rings. Rohan. Rohirrim. Yeah, it was literally, they played the violin, so... Well, they played all sorts of instruments, but... Do I read any stories from Asia? Yeah, I think it's not as frequent, but definitely have. A lot more like paranormal stuff from like Japan, I do believe. Watch out for poisonous creatures. We have at least 30 types. If you pick up all of them in a box and stick your hand in there and just kind of see what happens. A bit of a concoction. Gonna do some free paranormal stories. All the paranormal stories do eventually make it to the normal content. Those are the longer ones that you see. Like the ones that where you see as bonus content eventually do make it to the bigger paranormal videos that are free. Or like, you know, just normal. Normal YouTube videos are normal. Just absolutely, just click them. You can click them. It's your birthday, Ryla. Happy birthday. My daughter's picking up the clarinet. She's excited. That's good. Yeah, it's good to be excited about the thing that you're partaking in and about to embark upon. Do I play an instrument? No. I just play mayonnaise. Mayonnaise? It's so sad, though. I would like to learn, and then you say, well, why don't you learn? And it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm just fucking lazy. You played the trumpet? I feel like the trumpet would, and I say this respectfully, but I feel like the trumpet is one of the worst ones you could possibly learn. Because, like, I mean, you could sit on a corner and play your trumpet for money that people put into your change jar or whatever. But you can't play it casually in your room late at night and, like, hauntingly put your parents to sleep or something. Like, if your parents hear you playing the trumpet, they're like, shut the fuck up. Oh my god, that sucks. I mean, you're doing great, honey. You're doing awesome. Are you about to read a story live? We are, yeah. I'm just waiting for people to roll on in here. I usually chill for a bit. But yeah, I'm super late because did the recital and then dinner. And yeah, here we are in the world. I still have to go to bed by like 1 o'clock. Sounds annoying unless your professional and tone is amazing. Yeah, it seems like a very difficult one to just solo play and anybody to care about. Finally home from college. I passed all my finals. My GPA is much higher than last semester. Congratulations, Alexa. We are proud of you. You gave it your all, and you will continue to give it your all. And that's all we can ask. What time is it for me? It's like 10:45 almost. You thought my curfew was 12. Yeah, but if it was 12, like, this would be like the shortest stream of all time. Alright, we're done with Lord of the Rings. Let's move past that. We'll give it 5 more minutes here. We'll kick it off, guys. But thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging with me. I know it's, you know, not the most exciting stream in the world, but I think it keeps me on task, you know what I mean? You guys make me feel like there are people out there in the world that are real, legit human beings, besides myself. It's the only streams you listen to? Alright, perfect. So no dead internet theory? Maybe a little bit. Honestly, I'm sure like most of Reddit is just dead internet. Same with Twitter, same with all of these. Honestly, maybe many websites just like, well, even Instagram, they have people always talk about there being bots, like botted comments to like control a particular narrative. I usually am working when you go live. I'm happy to be part of one again. I miss you for sure. No worries. Thank you for being here. Anything cool happened while I was gone? The best thing, listen to bed. Let's go. A wee bit of drum and bass. A bunch of your videos from like 5 years ago or longer have been showing up on my recommended lately. Interesting enough. Nothing recent. Yeah, I don't know why YouTube does it. It's like, I don't know what it is, but YouTube like likes to keep my views at like a really specific like amount. So like sometimes old videos will be recommended, sometimes new ones will be recommended, but then it's just a very strange thing where like it never recommends them too much in the sense that there's like legitimate growth. And I think it's because, I don't know, maybe I should like try and do like more topical topics, like ones that hit like stuff that's happening in the current times, just to get that new viewer. But I don't really know what that would even be or how to even achieve that with like how content is sort of submitted here. That's whatever though. You spoke and joked on Cradle, a fifth heavy metal band. It's awesome. My son bought us tickets and paid the trip Saturday to see them in Atlanta. Such a show. Nice. Are you gonna watch the Backrooms movie? I probably will, honestly. There's quite a few. There's also that movie Obsession. I don't know. That doesn't look that interesting to me, to be honest. No other streams time strapped and you only. Besides this, Joel, you have a lovely bunch of people. Everybody is quite lovely, aren't they? We're not trying to like come after anybody's throat. They don't really care about any, the Backshot movie, yeah. You guys gonna watch the Backshot Rooms? Where do you get your clip of the astronaut in the forest? Oh, Robin made it. Robin Mickelson. He's linked as my, you know, artist in all of the videos. If you want to go commission. I'll get like a 2 hours of Ouija board stories video from like 10 years ago coming out of nowhere. That is kind of interesting. I mean, I guess, I don't know, a lot of my content technically is like what you would call evergreen, where it can be like listened to really anytime. Like it could be popular 10 years ago, it could be popular now with some particular subgroup of people. It doesn't really need to be like happening all the time or like in real time. Anyways, guys, let's just kick these off. Let's get to reading, shall we? We got stories from the desert. They should be interesting, I do say. Joe, when you're reading a story, do you ever change the words? Yeah, sometimes. Just if it just seems annoying or weird or doesn't fit something. I don't know. Or Obviously, all the grammar mistakes that might get through from time to time. What's up, Seeing Red? How we doing? I like listening to the older stories. I can see how you've changed over the years. Yeah, have I changed for the better? I remember like a while ago there was some woman I had to like block because she kept like leaving comments on the Patreon of all things, saying that I sounded like I was reading like children's stories now, or I don't know. She said my tone changed so much, and she wasn't able to explain exactly why, even though literally nothing's changed in the past 2 years at all. Much better paced. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I honestly think it might have just been the music, the difference in the music, and she just like wasn't able to explain that or something. Did you ever ride a white horse with no name in the desert? I have. I forget his name though. Alright. I've got a very short but very creepy story for you. As when I was a little kid, I was obsessed with road trips. Every chance I'd get, I'd beg my mom or dad to take me for a drive. I particularly liked driving at night, and there was just something comforting about it, and still is. At first, Mom and Dad both seemed excited to acquiesce to my request, as they'd say in Pirates of the Caribbean. At first, Mom and Dad both seemed excited to acquiesce to my request, as they say in the Pirates of the Caribbean. It was like a family bonding exercise, but then it became just Mom or just Dad, and they'd both say no. Eventually, my parents split up. Now, I was only about 4 or 5 at the time, so I didn't really understand what was going on. But one night, there was a tapping on my window. Someone was throwing stones. I looked out, and Dad was down in the yard. He whispered me to be quiet and told me to sneak downstairs. Now, I didn't even need to change out of my pajamas, I thought. He had clothes ready for me and a warm coat. And it was time for a night drive, I thought. A big road trip to somewhere that I'd always wanted to go. Death Valley. And so we began the trip. From what I can remember, we kept to some back roads and stayed in the skeeviest motels. But I was with my dad, who I hadn't seen in months, and I was on a road trip, driving at night. It was my favorite. Now, eventually we were driving through the desert. It was wonderful, everything I dreamed of. Our headlights lit up the cacti and cow skulls and broken signs that we saw, and I imagined that I was some cowgirl in the Wild West. Dad called me his little cowgirl angel when I told him this, and then we pulled off the road and onto the sand. I wasn't sure where we were driving, but it was bumpy and I just didn't like it. Dad told me not to worry, that cowgirls didn't cry and that we were almost there. There was an empty clearing. Dad stopped the car and told me to wait in the passenger seat. He climbed out and went around to the trunk. Now, he spent some time there, and when he came back, he motioned for me to crank down my window. Now, when I did, he fed a little green hose pipe through and started tickling me with it. Now, this made me laugh a lot. He told me that we'd get to spend more time together, as much as we wanted, and what a perfect place to do it. Again, I didn't understand what he meant until many years later. Suddenly, there were sirens, and shouting, and yells that guns had been drawn. That hose pipe disappeared from the window, and the rest is just some insane blur. I was now in an ambulance, then I was in a hospital, and then Mom and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles kept coming to visit. Mom was crying a lot. I didn't see Dad, and I kept asking about him, and nobody would say anything. I asked if we were going back to Death Valley and that I wanted to see the desert again. Mom said, maybe one day, but not yet. Now, years later, I found out the truth. Mom had full custody of me, and Dad wasn't allowed to see me at all. I still don't know why, and I'm not sure I really want to know. But he kidnapped me and took me out into the desert, and I'm sure you can imagine what would have come next given that hose pipe. Thankfully, Mom had noticed I was gone and called the cops. They put out some APB on Dad's car, and the rest is history. Thankfully, I'm fine now. A little bit of therapy and a few night terrors is a small price to pay for surviving, and I'm just glad that Death Valley was a misnomer in this case, and I was able to continue living my life rather than ending up as one of the many bodies buried in that desert sand. I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request. We were in a pretty good roll there, I'd say. I took a shower as soon as I was done. I wore pants and long sleeve dry fit. It was 87 here today. Damn. Warm, warm, warm. It's getting there. Finally getting warm here. Background noise is desperately needed for people with jobs. Very true. Joe, what happened to your stalker, the Let's Bleed one? I think I killed her. She stepped in one of my giant bear trap, my comedically large bear traps, and bled to death. That'd be kind of a funny prank, like you set up just like a series of like hundreds of bear traps throughout your house so that when the person that wakes up in your house like has to navigate, kind of, you know, it'd be kind of like, you know, the mouse traps, but obviously in this case it's for bear and would shatter your femur or leg bone. David Dew, thank you for the 5 gifters. To Brandon Bunderson, Matthew Beto, B. Mers, Crimson Majin, and Goatman. Welcome, friends. You now have access to bonus content. Dungeon synth music is... oh, it's great. I love it. 32 degrees in New York City? What the hell? 32 degrees Celsius? I had this friend back in the 2000s. We were friends since elementary school, all through middle school, and right up until our senior year of high school. I'm pretty sure we still would have been friends now, except she died. I'm sorry to be blunt, but it's still very raw for me. And I'm writing into you both as a cautionary tale and to raise awareness for what I personally believe happened to my friend, who I'm just going to call Sally. Sally and I are kind of stoners in high school. I won't sugarcoat it. We performed well academically, so I guess the teachers and our parents just turned a blind eye. But we smoked a decent amount of pot, and Sally would have really gotten a kick out of it becoming legal just after her death. Thanks, Obama. No, really. Now anyways, one day, Sally came to me very excited. She heard about this new, this is read as very old, drug, and it was like weed but way stronger. And better than that, it was totally and completely legal. She produced the biggest baggie of weed-looking substance I'd ever seen in my life, but it was a darker, spikier bud than what I was used to. Now, it turns out darker is a great description for salvia. Maybe it's not the case that everyone has a similar experience, but everyone I've spoken to has. I smoked a regular joint of salvia, assuming that was the right way. Wait, what? Hey, Strauss Outdoors, thank you for the 5 gifters. To Anonymous Operator, Arlene Jameson, Me Malin, Read, and Live 8. Welcome, friends. You now have access to bonus contento. I just looked at your oldest video. Have you watched Rose and Maiden before? I have not, honestly. I just click the randomizer on like Wikipedia to take you to a random page, and that's what it took me to. I literally have no idea what Rose and Maiden is. I think it's Rose and Maiden. It's a manga, Japanese manga series by Peach Pit about Jun Sakurada, a shut-in who becomes the master of Shinku, a sentient doll, and gets pulled into the Alice game, a battle between 7 magical dolls to become the perfect girl, Alice. This series, known for its gothic fantasies and supernatural themes, explores the doll's personalities and Jun's journey out of his depression as he interacts with the various Rose and Maidens. It was serialized in monthly Comic Burts 2002 to 2007 and later in weekly Young Jump 2008 to 2014. It has received multiple anime adaptations. That's pretty... he's good, man. He's a sweetheart. Also, you guys will be proud of me. I've switched from buying packs of Pokemon cards to just buying singles. What is that weird noise? Oh, shit. Is there a weird noise? Do you guys hear a weird noise? How old is he? Pradeep will be... oh, wait. How old will he be? So it's 2026. I guess he'll be 12. I thought he was going to be 13, but he'll be 12 here soon. I missed your super chat. I'm sorry, buddy. Thank you for the 2s. Go fishing, Joel. Okay, I could go fishing. What should I fish for? Fishing for Columbine. Why'd I stop the story? That's just what happens on the stream. We it's like recording, so I record a little bit and then I mess up and then I come look at the chat and then I go back to recording. It's kind of disconjointed, but it will be edited later, I promise. Fish for a woman. Yeah, good point. Fish for a headache, am I right, boys? Just kidding. Just kidding. Just fucking kidding. Alright. Maybe it's not the case that everyone has a similar experience, but everyone I've spoken to has. I smoked a regular joint of Salvia, assuming that was the right way, as did Sally. And the high, if you can even call it that, only lasted about 45 minutes. Let's just call it a trip instead. And during that one single experience on Salvia, I believed I was God, and then the devil. And at one point I knew I had superpowers, but I dare not use them. I could tell where Sally was sitting, on my couch, but I couldn't see her. She was semi-invisible, kind of like when the Predator cloaks himself in those movies. And it was like the light was refracting around my friend. The posters on my bedroom wall changed into things I can't remember, nor do I even really want to, and I felt both powerless and godlike at the same time. And all this just from lying on my bed and looking up at the ceiling. Some of the stories I've heard or read from people who've taken Salvia have been absolutely insane to me. You could do a whole video on terrifying experiences on Salvia if only that actually fit your brand, but suddenly I was back to normal. And just like that, I was myself again, and it felt like nothing had happened. Unlike weed, where you feel the aftermath in various ways, the Salvia was just sort of gone. Well, at least for me. And when I looked over at Sally, she was just beaming, staring into the middle distance with a blissful look on her face. Now, not to be crude, but it was like she'd just come down from some orgasm. Now, I sort of wondered if she was still tripping. But then she turned to me and I could see it was the same old Sally I knew and loved. And she said something I could never and would never agree with. "That was incredible, dude. I think we found our new drug of choice." Well, there was no way on earth that I was smoking that amount of Salvia again. I did try, I really did. Sally was so enthusiastic about it, and something about it being legal made her feel different. As much as she'd been a bit of a pothead, she'd always despised the fact that it was illegal. She'd always hated the fact that we'd had to acquire it from ex-high schoolers who were almost all creeps, and I don't blame her. We both had some bad experiences with dealers from our high school and a bit older, and yeah, I don't really want to talk about those, though. But Salvia, you could buy, legally, right from the sources. And there were stores tucked down these small alleys that sold it, and something about this spoke to Sally, I guess. And I guess it helped her have a better experience with the trip. And so, like I said, I tried. I really did. I mixed a tiny, tiny bit of Salvia in with some rolled up cigarettes. Only I didn't smoke tobacco, so it was like throat effing myself. I probably should have died from what other people did while we were on Salvia. Yeah, I've only ever heard terrible things about Salvia. Butt hash is way better, that's true. Smoke it right from my hole. Okay. Don't do Salvia, for the love of God, it's worse than acid or shrooms. That's what I heard. I don't know why this person just had some casual experience. Only I didn't smoke tobacco, so it was like throat effing myself with a lit cigar. I tried mixing it into some brownie mix, and it just tasted like eating brownies with dried leaves in it, and still made me trip in the worst ways. I ground it up and snorted it. Now that was a big mistake. I just sneezed it right out, and that was a gross experience. I don't even want to imagine that one. Now meanwhile, Sally was smoking more and more of what I genuinely believed to be Satan's drug of choice. I had no idea how she was even managing 2, 3, 4 joints of Salvia a day without going insane. But I guess that's the problem, isn't it? She was. I just didn't see it. We were in our final year of high school, studying for finals and graduation, despite what else the Salvia might have been doing. It was turning Sally into this sort of savant genius, believe it or not. She went from a B student to an extremely high straight A student in every single one of her classes. The teachers were shocked. If she'd gone through her whole high school career like this, she would have been valedictorian so hard that she would have left our locked-in valedictorian. Got a cortisone injection in my knee yesterday and walked without pain for the first time in 2+ years. Life-changing. That's amazing. That stuff's tough, though. Being that it's only temporary, but cortisone does nothing for me. Yeah. What if I towards this time to join the chat with my experiences? What did you experience? You're jealous, but not really about the story. What happened? If she'd gone through her whole high school career like this, she would have been valedictorian so hard that it would have left the previous one in the dust. And as it was, she was on track to comfortably being salutatory. That is kind of crazy. Imagine the pressures of, like, trying to be valedictorian in school. I never even, like, once thought about that kind of shit. Salutatorian. The student who ranks second highest in graduating class and delivers the salutatory. No one ever remembers the salutatorian. What did I have for dinner? I actually ate a really big burger. It was pretty good. Joy, you sleepy? You sound sleepy. I'm a little sleepy. And yeah, that's that. I remember one friend said he felt like a zipper on a jacket pants. He fucking slithered out of his passenger side of the car after redlining the engine for 30s. Holy fuck. Joel didn't have to try in school. He had pretty boy nurse privilege. Yeah, this is true. I used AI to get through school back in 2008. What's my favorite dessert? Oh, there's so fucking many, bro. I can't even say. Turning 20 soon. Any advice? Try to find like a career that can make you money. You know what I mean? Like, don't bullshit your 20s away by, you know, becoming an alcoholic or getting a, you know what I mean, smoking weed every day. Like, there's very few people I know right now that can smoke weed every day and, like, do well, you know what I mean? Like, be very productive. But whether you like to think it or not, like, your 20s are for, like, basically setting up yourself for the rest of your life. Both with your, like, physicality and the way that you go to the gym, eat healthy, all that kind of shit, and trying to find a career that can support you and a potential family down the line, you know what I mean? Do I smoke weed? No. I mean, I have in the past, but I don't think I could do it all the time. Otherwise, I would just be so scatterbrained and dumb. Don't squander your 20s, but weed's fine. Alcohol, be careful, but no drink. I mean, yeah. I just, honestly, I advise against, like, smoking weed because everybody I know that smokes weed just, like, does nothing. Like, literally does nothing. And they're okay with it. And honestly, if you struggle with things and you know, want to smoke weed, I have no issue with it, but it's just like so many people I know just like they smoke and then they're fine accomplishing no goals, you know. You want to be a DJ? I mean, you could be the best DJ in the world. But yeah, I mean, honestly, also if you're in your 20s, like college, depending on what you want to go for, you have to understand that, like, not every degree is going to, like, get you a job, especially, well, it just depends, right? Just make sure I mean, honestly, I would say those, like, blue-collar jobs are probably some of the highest paying, like, electrician or a fucking masonry person or a plumber. Like, you know, AI can't really replace those. Or you could work in HVAC. Like, HVAC pays pretty good. You might be able to get good jobs with that. What if I was just someone on Salvia on a computer responding to everyone? I think you might be. Fiber optic technician, hell yeah. Only thing I take is Kratom, nothing else. My buddy took Kratom for a while and he didn't realize, but he was having, like, addictive issues with it as well. Like whenever he wouldn't have it, he would have like withdrawals. Now granted, kratom is great for getting off of heroin, I guess, but he wasn't on any of that, and he says kratom like kind of permanently fucked up his sleep situation. Same advice I gave my son: stack money, buy a house, find a career you love. One son in the Army, one son going to be a flight attendant. Both are barely 20 and 21. Yeah, that's awesome, you know? Like, obviously, like, in my mind, I feel like, you know, obviously there's things that you want to do probably within the creative realm that don't always pay money, but if you can just get a job that pays good first, and then in your free time figure out how to do, like, the creative shit or whatever, sell shit on Etsy or flip houses or whatever you want to do, you know what I mean? Like, at least make yourself some good money, and then figure out how you can, like, live out your dream. You beat ghouls and ghosts for the first time after smoking a bowl. Never could do it as a kid. Fuck yeah, maybe that's all you needed as a kid, was a nice big joint. A TikTok affiliate. I had 2 joints, some clonazepam, a can of beer, and I was giggling full, fell down and hurt my behind. I wondered why it hurt the next day. Nice. Not OnlyFans. Yeah, everyone in here should just immediately start an OnlyFans tonight. And send Fry all of your pictures to test it out. Just kidding. Don't do that. I'd say be careful with college. Go to tech school 2 years, get a degree. Don't put student loan or your back, man, especially in this economy. Yeah, I mean, you just really don't know what the future holds, especially with, like, AI replacing so much shit. Like, you should really do some research into, like, what you should go for. I mean, nursing is still a good thing, I think. Nursing's still, like, a great career. Best advice I can give anyone at any age is don't smoke cigarettes or vape. There you go. I took kratom for a while. Super addictive. Life is better without it. Yeah, definitely. I'm on methadone because I messed up my life with age. Say no to drugs, people. Yeah. Yeah, fuck drugs, man. Sucks. Do you think men's feet could sell on OnlyFans? I mean, I have no idea. Probably, but I don't. Should you do it? No, dude. Well, I don't know. It's totally up to you, bro. Let us know how it goes if you do start making money. And then drop the link in the bio. Just kidding. As it was, she was on track to comfortably be salutatorian. Now, alas, she never made it. It's a tale as old as time, but with a dark, modern mystery twist. At least, in my opinion, it is. Obviously, the drugs got to her. But Salvia doesn't get to you in the same way most other drugs do. There are other natural plants that have a lot in common with Salvia, but nothing I've ever read about these other drugs have been quite as cursed and haunting as my own experience on that drug, let alone what Sally must have gone through. It started when she came to our shared room in our shared student accommodation one day and announced to me that she'd seen God under a bridge. I assumed she was joking, so I asked if God was under the bridge and if she was so sure it was God and not some homeless troll. Now, Sally got kind of, not mad, but serious about this. God hadn't been under the bridge. She'd been under the bridge when she saw God. I asked her to explain how this meant that God themselves wasn't under the bridge, and she told me a story of how, of course, she'd been smoking salvia with some other kids who'd been introduced to the legal substance. And did I emphasize that this crap is legal? By someone, and I'm pretty sure it was Sally, but I didn't want to upset her, and I could hardly accuse her too hard of introducing some kids to some legal plant. Now, she explained that God had just appeared inside her head during a short trip, and he told her to cross over in the land of the goddess Sonora. Now, at first I didn't understand what Sally was saying. Cross over into where? What? Some kind of spiritual plane? And then it struck me with a dawning horror. She was talking about the Sonoran desert, but with some kind of spiritual nickname her salvia-induced god had told her. We lived just outside of Phoenix to the southwest, so passing into the Sonoran desert wasn't at all out of the question. In fact, a bunch of us had taken a camping trip to the outskirts until I realized that getting sand in a certain part of your body is one of the most unpleasant experiences I've had up until that point. And I'm sure there are all sorts of ways that older going to sell pics of only different types of room cooling fans, ceiling fans, oscillating fans. There you go. I think that's exactly what you should do. GTA 5 reference? Which one was it? Is that where is that what the desert in GTA 5 is? The Sonoran Desert? Do I think you're cute? I have no idea who you are. I love when I get sand in certain places, right between my cheeks. Did Salvia once in high school was a weird trip, not like acid or shrooms where you can shape your trip based on mood surroundings. It was just weird and unnatural. Interesting. GTA 5 is the Sonora Desert. Okay, that makes sense. I guess they do use like real life, like larger geographical things like California or Sonora Desert. Can't copyright that, right? I'm sure there are ways that older, seasoned women avoid that in the desert, but I was a 16-year-old high school kid. I had no idea. All I knew was as soon as I got home, I spent so long in the shower that I'm pretty sure my whole abdomen turned into a prune. Now the point is, the potential for dust and sand in your unmentionables aside, I didn't want Sally crossing over into the Sonoran Desert on a Salvia-fueled pilgrimage. It might have worked for Wayne and Wayne's World, but I don't think Mike Myers movies. We're just taking that out. Now the point is, the potential for sand in her unmentionables aside, I didn't want Sally crossing over into the Sonoran Desert on some Salvia-fueled pilgrimage. I protested and insisted that there's absolutely no way Sally should go on a pilgrimage to meet the goddess Sonora, or any other god for that matter. Unfortunately, I could not talk her out of it, no matter how much I rationalized, then begged, cried, screamed, threatened to tell her parents, threatened to handcuff her to her bedpost, all sorts of stuff. And so instead, I made the best compromise I could think of. I offered to go with her, and maybe this story would be very different if she'd said yes. Better or worse, I can't say, but again, she was absolutely adamant that this was something that she had to do alone because God had told her so. She laid out a plan. 1 week from now, she'd head to a certain rock that she'd seen in the vision, whereupon Sonora would be seated and grant her, quote-unquote, the truth, whatever that was. Honestly, the trip didn't seem too bad. If she was careful, she could manage it in a day. I was more concerned when she said that the commune with Sonora... Do I fish? No. I like the idea of fishing, but I don't know, the last time I fished, probably like college. And I do like fishing. It's just, I don't know. These sort of like outdoors activities, hunting and fishing, it's like I've, seen them a lot, and they do look pleasant. I just am not avidly involved in the world. Do you think people should get banned if a game dev at Microsoft forgot to encrypt Forza 6 on the Steam store and people pirate it? Well, banned from where though? Banned from the Microsoft store? Fishing is life. Yeah. Strauss, is fishing life? What's that feel like doing it all the time? Does it feel good? Because I feel like maybe that's something I should get into instead of Pokemon cards. Just go fucking fishing. Catch you again, Joe. I'm popping over to Patreon to listen to you. It's 4 a.m. here. Take care, everyone. Oh, see ya, 69. Gorgeous. Just a lot of preparation involved with fishing, which honestly seems kind of fun. Do both. Yeah, I guess I really do gotta expand my hobbies since I have more time now. Rods, reels, lines, knots, bait. Damn. All those things. Show the fish your Pokemon cards. Yeah, I should put an Umbreon on the end of one of the lines, and then I'll catch myself a nerdy girl. Go fish and get yourself a scary fish story. That would be kind of sick. Something absolutely fucked up living down there. I keep a fishing pole in my car at all times. That's sick. First time in the live, great voice, listening every day. Hey, thanks. What's that say? Vladimir Garcia. Oh, Vladimir, nice. Vladimir Garcia. Thanks, bro. Living up the East Coast, we have great waters. This is true. I mean, for the money, for Pokemon could be going fishing and vice versa. That's true. I was more concerned when she said the commune. Communion? I feel like it's communion. What's up, Shorn? I was more concerned when she said the communion with Sonora had to occur at night because the deserts get so cold at night, your nipples feel like they're gonna explode, but whatever. She could wrap up warm, and I still had a week to try and talk her out of this madness. Now, I should have seen it coming. When I woke up the next morning, Sally was gone. She'd left a note on her pillow that read, "I'm sorry. God would have wanted it this way." Now, the real sucky thing is that I couldn't drive at the time. I'd never passed my tests, and I had no sensible way of following Sally into the desert. I should have called a friend, but frankly, we'd alienated anyone that I trusted enough with all of this, and I had finals to go study for. Now, I should have made much more of an effort to follow her and catch up with her, even though I'm sure that she left hours before I woke up. Regardless, I will never forgive myself and stop beating myself up for the fact that I could have done more. Sally didn't come home that night. She didn't come home the next day either, or the next. I reported her as a missing person. But despite being in high school, she was 18. She'd left an indication that she'd gone on some vacation, and it was only my word that she'd claimed that she'd be back in a day. I tried to point out that she'd gone out into the desert. I tried to draw on as much research as I'd be able to, and in the days before Google, that showed how many people died out there every... Oh. Why are we looking at a weird deer head monster in a forest, and this is about deserts? I know, I should have had him throw together something about deserts last second. Darwinism. Yeah, that's true. Makes you wonder how many cavemen ate some bad mushrooms and then died. Well, from tripping and then died. New background? I guess, well, it's spring. I don't even know what I have right now. What's the summertime background? Do we have a summertime background? I don't even know. Put some flowers on a Leshen's crown. That sounds nice. How often do I check emails? I guess it's daily. I'm not usually the one checking the emails too often, but sometimes I'll peek in there since there's so many. I've like, oh, musician horror story. I've debated the best. Oh yeah, but I got one earlier that I thought you guys would find funny. Literally, the title is just, the subject of it just says story submission. I tried manipulating my teacher into adopting me, and I lied about being abused at home. I don't know why. That just seems like a story that I would not want to read on the channel. This story is about when I was a teenager and I tried to get my teacher to adopt me, so I made up lies about being abused, and now the teacher wants nothing to do with me. Yeah, who would have fucking thought that? Drinking water constantly with the two says, can you say, Diwa is better than Shimano? Diwa is better than Shimano. Have I seen the David case? I've heard of it, yeah. I heard he's going to jail for a long time. An old-timey 1940s investigator office background. Do you have one of those? No, but it sounds pretty sick. Could probably get Robin to make one of those. And promote peace with the 5 says, I grew up in a haunted house. I'm very serious. I noticed a lack of interest in this topic, and I feel like there's a spiritual shift. Yeah, what happened? Can you tell? You don't have to donate again, but can you tell us just in the comments down there what happened? Sorry about the freaking haunted house, though. Hopefully it hasn't followed you. The David murder is definitely a psyop. Really? Why? Why is that? What about it's a psyop? Or what's the purpose of it if it is some sort of made-up story? I don't think it's a made-up story. I think it's pretty legit. And I say that from knowing nothing, I guess, but I just have to assume it's true. And Batsy Girl, thank you so much for the 5 gifters. You guys are going ham tonight. To Diana, Pastel... Well, wait, we got that. Yeah, thank you, Pastel. Anyways, but Craigster, The Fury, Ghost Blue, and Digital Plasma. My 90s kid house was haunted. I believe I submitted a story here. Not sure if it got read. Okay. Oh, yeah. I remember we read one of yours recently. That's 15 gifted memberships so far. Damn. Remind me, guys. I'll match you at the end. Fake corpse in the trunk. It's a setup. It's a setup. What do you mean? For what? I feel like I need more. I feel like I'm missing the context that's like going on in your guys' head. I just don't understand. I love your voice. I can pay attention to you even when playing games on my phone. That's awesome. Thank you for listening. Bro, the evidence against him is not good. I mean, it doesn't seem great. Fake cake in the trunk. It's a BBL. Joel, you should really come to my day in June. Just got to fly out to Sacramento. Yeah. We'll do a day trip. Didn't the lady marry a ghost pirate and later divorce him? Of course. Heard the Dave guy was knife up meat in a video right after he was chopping up meat in a video after he killed that girl. That's scary. I just noticed that the topic of haunting has a little public interest. It's a fundamental impact on my life. Talk of it was very common when I was young. Why isn't it an issue these days? I don't know. Maybe ghosts are getting weaker? Maybe all the ghosts are just like going over to like CERN to like go through their portals over there. I don't know. Why does everyone say it was wrong? What was wrong? The ghost? I don't know. I'm bad at this. I'm bad at this streaming thing. I can't follow what anybody's saying. I tried to draw on as much research. I tried to draw on as much research as I'd been able in the days before Google that showed how many people died out there every year. Now, I felt like I was getting through to law enforcement. They promised to send some ranger out to scout out the route that Sally had told me about, and then I made the mistake of mentioning Salvia and visions, and saw their eyes glaze over, and at that point I think I lost them. A week passed, and then 2. You'd think that Sally's parents would be frantic at this point too, but here's the thing. Her dad abandoned the family when Sally was 2. Her brother was a 23-year-old stoner who was far more of a hot mess than Sally ever was, and I had no idea how to get a hold of him. And Sally's mom had died when we were in middle school. She really had nobody else, really, and I can kind of see why she wanted to find answers and visions and gods. Now, eventually there was a knock on my dorm room door. Sally's car had been found. Wait, not dorm room. Did they end up in college? I'm kind of confused. Dick Snatch, thank you for the 2. So I listened to you while playing Sneaky Sasquatch. Which game is that? I've never even heard of that. That sounds like something that Queso would play. 99% of the world never heard of this David character prior to the murder, but it's getting A-list level Hollywood coverage. Just seems fake for multiple other reasons. Yeah, but isn't that how, like, most murders kind of play out, where you have, like, no idea who the people are, and just the abnormality of, like, someone murdering someone, he kind of, like, brings it to the forefront of, you know, you don't know who school shooters are, and then they shoot up a school, and not, you know, and then now you know everything about them. Like, I mean, a crime like murdering, and especially within the context of being like a, you know, C-level. I don't know. I feel like your argument doesn't really make much sense, I guess. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying, like, of course it's going to get attention. I don't really understand the fishiness of it. Lindsay Tompkins with the 5 says, my ex-cousin just got arrested for stabbing 2 cops in Ohio. He was holding himself hostage, covered in gasoline. That's a strange situation. Maybe he's on meth or something like that. How long does it take to edit the videos? Usually tomorrow. It takes like 2 hours, 3 hours. He's not the only one to make violent comparisons in music. Think about it. Not defending the guy, but it makes you wonder who else is like him. I mean, isn't that what happened to Young Thug more recently, where wasn't he on trial for some type of weapons charge or murder case or something, and they tried to reference like his music to say that he was making like really specific depictions of what he was accused for or whatever, you know what I mean? So it seems like rappers do that all the time, but I think there's like a legal precedent set that they can't like reference their entertainment. Am I American? Maybe. I think so. Also, the letters that are missing in his name, A.I. David. Well, I mean, listen, I'm all for a conspiracy theory, like, honestly. Like, if there was, like, some weird reason that, like, the CIA just wanted to see how far they can, like, push a fake story via AI, I would be down with that, but I mean, like, I just have no idea. I'm just gonna assume it's real. Liz says, are these stories scary? I hope so. And Angel Heart, welcome back for 8 months. Hello, sweet cakes. Glad I made it to a live. It's been ages and I miss you. Hope everybody's groovy tonight. I'm Christine, and it's nice to be here. Hello, Christine. Welcome back for 8 months. Good to see you. Who is David? He was some, like, rapper who, like, groomed a, like, 11-year-old girl or something, and I think then murdered her at the age of 15. Pretty fucked up scenario. I'm about to catch some Z's on one of your vids. Been in my nightly routine for a long time. Thank you, Gavin. Appreciate you. My one friend was saying that, like, it was like 1 a.m. and he walked by his brother's room, and, like, my voice was coming out of the room through the speakers on the video, and he could hear his brother, like, snoring, so it was kind of funny. Got the whole house snoozing. David Dude, oh, there's the David, with the tenses. To Joel from chat, P.S. Have you ever wanted to read scary stories about witches and spells? Yeah. I would like to know more about, like, modern witches and all of their little silly magic tricks. But thank you, David. Joel doesn't like witch kind. He hates us. It's not that I hate you, I just remember one time I texted my mom, I said, hey mom, what time was I born at? And she responded by saying, don't talk to those kind of girls. And I said, you got it. You got it, ma'am. And I gave her a salute. You should do one of musicians while the musician talk if possible. I think I have actually 3 videos about, like, stories with, or, like, music with, like, you know what I mean? Like, the background story of the lyrics and stuff. Joe, do you want to go by Joel or Mr. Joel? Maybe, like, Supreme Leader Joel. Or Supreme Janitor Joel. Like, the lowest guy in the whole thing. What time did I go live tonight? I went live about 54 minutes ago. Monsieur Joel, Dr. Detective Pikachu Joel. Eventually, there was a knock on my dorm room door. Sally's car had been found. It appears as if it had been there for a couple of weeks, based on the layer of sand covering it. Now, the rangers and law enforcement were taking it seriously. I insisted that I go with them, that maybe something would jog my memory about the route that she was taking, the rock on which she claimed Sonora would appear. And oh God, I wish I hadn't. And I'm glad I did, but I just wish that I hadn't. I was the one who found her. She was lying in the shade of a 10-foot-high rock, her body half covered in sand by this point, and she was wearing only her underwear, and appeared that she'd neatly folded her clothes beside her before lying down and just slipping away. The official cause of death was Joel is how you pronounce your name, by the way. Properly, FYI, I'm telling you how to pronounce your name. It's actually pronounced Appalachia. Justin Bachalachia. Bachalachis. I scooped your Instagram and saw Kurt Cobain and had to find the video. I know you didn't go through a lot of detail, but basically that's Polly. Kurt didn't know her name, so he just called her that. Yeah, it was written by Sam Writing, the true crime writer, so it's been a while since I've recall any of that. The official cause of death was exposure to the elements. Sally had somehow, through months of slow, salvia-induced psychosis, become convinced that gods were communicating with her. Later we even found journals in which she claimed Sonora was the goddess of the desert who bestowed power through suffering, thirst, and hunger. And I could never find any actual mythological record of this. It just seemed like something Sally had hallucinated. And so that's a horrible story. It's scary how things can mess with your mind, and maybe my mind's messed up too, but I think things were a lot worse. I don't think Sally died of exposure. I think she was murdered. I think somehow someone had been implanted Some things that happened here. I was playing with my young grandson in the living room, and my disc golf disc I had on the wall flew off the wall and went in between me and my grandson. The ghosts were just playing a little bit of frolf, frisbee golf. We're like, hey, move it, buddy. Oh, I had a good idea for a spooky story that maybe can be explored at some point. And feel free to steal this if you guys are writers or anything like that. But basically, whenever I was young, my great-grandmother died, right, when I was like 3 or 4, something like that. And I just remember going to her funeral and then, going by the graveyard, of which I was like kind of unawares of what graveyards were. And then I just remember asking my cousins, like my one cousin was always just like such a dick to me for like no reason, how typical older cousins usually get. And he was like, one day you're going to be in there. And I was like, what? I was like, when you die, you're going to be buried in the ground. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? And I was like, and I just, in my head, I immediately thought like, you get to a certain age and then they just bury you alive, right? They bury you alive. And so I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, when you die, do you get buried in the ground? And she was like, yeah, of course. And I was just like, what the fuck? So I thought you just get buried for like eternity, just like stuck in a fucking tomb in the ground, but like scratching and shit against it. So that was terrifying. But I was just also thinking like, what if in a weird sort of way you could explore the idea that like when you pass away, say like whatever it is that we consider consciousness, even though you're technically brain dead, your body has shut down, all that kind of stuff, there's just a small amount of like what's considered like brain activity and consciousness that persists in your like shell of a body buried underground for a long, for basically until you're just like completely decomposed entirely, which might not, what I mean? I was just imagining like, what if in some way you maintain that consciousness of being completely dead, having to be like embalmed and stuff, and then like buried, you have to go through all the shit like a dead body goes through, but you're still just like completely in weird ways like still there, but utterly. Sounds really boring. Well, it's supposed to be like terrifying, I guess, but I guess I could see reading about it would be really boring. So the consciousness is alive, but everything else is not. Yeah, but you're just like still stuck in said corpse, You're literally corpse husband. Didn't a dude who was high on bath salts eat parts of some of the homeless gentleman's face? I hope so, dude. We need to make this world more exciting. There's a short story out there kind of like where there's a disease that doesn't allow people to die, but they decompose like a dead person, lose their sense. Interesting. Jorp's husband. Another thing that happened, I was using the bathroom when a plastic cup that was sitting in the bathroom sink decided to fly at me and land on the floor. He was just playing flip cup. These zombies are just these ghosts are just gamers, bro. Are these bath salt stories really true? I mean, back in the day, it wasn't like the ones that you throw into your bath bomb to make your skin all nice. It was like, whatever term they have for bath salts that you like smoke. I have 6 degrees of separation from the lady who got her face eaten by the pet chimp. Isn't that crazy? Like how many, like a friend of mine, her like friends, grandmas, or like her friends, aunts, something like was killed by like Ted Bundy. And then, I've met Shane Gillis, so that's like, if you know me, you know someone who's met Shane Gillis. How exciting is that? Jill, is your skin nice? I've been told my skin's nice. I remember like a girl in college, she always did all these things for her skin, as girls do, and then it's like the Frodo meme where like we use the same soap to like wash our face as we do like our butthole and balls, and then we just like look like Frodo Baggins, with like a beautiful smile and like shining. And I just remember her in college saying like, you have literally perfect skin. And I was like, all right, thank you. That compliment is going to get me through the rest of my life. I really appreciate you. You're one of the only women that have ever said anything nice, ever. It was her said something nice to me, and then it was another girl in high school who said I looked really good in yellow. And, yeah, it carries you pretty far as a dude. Hannibal Lecter would be in love with my skin. Pretty boy. Yeah, pretty boy. I don't think Sally died of the elements. I personally think she was murdered. Wait. Oh. I don't think Sally actually died of the elements. I think she was murdered. I think somehow someone had been implanting the Salvia psychosis into her mind through suggestion. I have no idea who. Someone she got high with when I wasn't around, maybe. And I'll tell you why I think this. Sally wore a locket with 2 photos, one of her mother shortly before she died, and one of the pair of them when Sally was a baby. She never removed that locket. Never. Not when she slept, not when she showered, not when she bathed. She could be completely naked and she'd still be wearing that locket. Not only had she removed it for whatever reason, she... Oh, what the fuck? Do I not get compliments in the live stream? I do, but I mean in like real life comments, Real life comments like go exceptionally hard. I mean, yes, once again, guys, thank you for being so nice to me on the internet. Not only had she removed it for whatever reason she removed her clothes, but there was no sign of the locket anywhere. It wasn't placed with her clothing like the rest of her belongings, and it wasn't in the car. I told law enforcement about this over and over again, but they insisted that there was no other evidence of foul play. They said the locket could have easily sunk into the sand or all sorts of things. Nobody murdered her, they said, and sure, maybe someone didn't stab or shoot her or crush her trachea, but someone sent her out there to die, and then they took that locket. I'm certain of it. I've been out there so many times searching for it. I've dug, I've searched with metal detectors, and I've once even smoked salvia again against my better judgment, hoping for some type of vision or a map or a culprit or something. I don't know. Maybe Sally had it right. Just lie down and drift away. I'm the one left here still obsessing over this for nearly 20 years, and I don't go out there much anymore, but I can't really leave Phoenix. What if, like the namesake bird, Sally rises from the ashes and shows me who killed her? What if one day I go out there and find the locket? At least I could be at peace. Instead, I'm just sort of left here writing the story, begging people not to go down the Salvia path. It's still a legal substance in Arizona, and I don't say this in a sort of winners don't do drugs type of way. It's just the idea of what happened to Sally and what might have happened is enough to terrify me for the rest of my life. I wish I could let go, but I can't. And I hope this email brings you... And I hope sending this email to you brings some closure, and thank you for reading. Sally, rest in peace. I've always loved you forever, and you might not have met God, but you're the closest thing to a goddess to me, and I don't need to smoke salvia to know that. Those earlobes, they're looking dingly. You can flick them, and they'll just sit there and swing back and forth like a pendulum for days. Oh man, guys, you're gonna be proud of me today. I wasn't gonna work out, and then I fucking did. I went to the gym, I did legs. Even cooler, it was at Planet Shitness. Planet Fatness, I call it. I call everyone there fat and disgusting. There's actually a substantially lot of good-looking people at Planet Fatness. It's honestly, it's cool. It's actually pretty sweet. But I was on the leg press and I did 5 plates for 15 reps. Do you guys? And I like to pretend that I'm in like a God of War quick time event. Yeah, that lunk alarm was going off as soon as I stepped in the door. Do you know something? You're one of those good-looking people. Thanks, dude. Thank you, Moo Moo Oink Oink. One of my favorite chatters in the chat, his name is Moo Moo Oink Oink, named after probably some of the best barnyard animals known to man. My adult daughter woke up one night thinking I was calling her. She came out to the hallway and followed me into the kitchen where I disappeared. She checked my room and I was asleep still. Oh shit. Little doppelganger action. I literally didn't skip leg day. Sorry, you guys all relatively new to live shows. I feel like I only recognize a few of you. It seems like there's a lot of new people in here, which is probably a good thing. Why do you go to Planet Fitness if you have your own gym? Don't you have your own gym anymore? I do, but I more recently had hurt my back doing back squat because I went too fucking heavy. But thankfully, dude, I'm telling you, if you're older, if you're 9,000 years old like me, the machines are where it's at. Like, I think compound lifts are good for people who are starting out at the ages of like 14 or whatever. But then, if you've ever had like literally any injuries from lifting, you should probably start thinking about switching over to like machines. No, I'm younger than you, but I mean like I've been through the ringer when it comes to the amount of times I've fucked up my shit at the gym because I'm stupid. You have a total gym, that's cool. I'm culturally old. I have so many actual stories. My experience, my family, friends, roommates have had theirs. Crazy. I thought getting rid of that doll would help. It didn't. It's attached to you now. Oh wait, I shouldn't make a joke. But yeah. You almost didn't go because you're hurt. No, I'm feeling good now. It actually, like, my back recovered within like a week, which was kind of surprising. I think, honestly, doing those, like, that myofascial release shit that I've been doing for years, like, I feel, honestly, like I recover from injuries, like, way faster from doing it because and this is going to sound like hocus pocus, but the fascial system is just a lot more open and flowing. Like a monthly period. Anybody planning on going to Brimfield this weekend? I don't think so. Used to do 500 burpees, no gym. Yeah, that's a fuck ton of burpees, but I respect it. I respect it. Fascia, fascia, fascia. So I've been asked to write into you by a younger friend who's a listener. And I hope you get a kick out of this one. Apparently you do like bat crap crazy people. Now, a bunch of years ago, after the dawn of cell phones, but before the rise of smartphones, me and a bunch of buddies decided to go on a little trip. We'd been dreaming of this trip since college, talking about it a bunch and never actually doing it. And so one summer, I was all, guys, F this. We're doing it. We're doing a road trip across the states and nothing can stop us now. Now, we're all from sunny California and all went to the same college there, so it was just a case of seeing the country we so love. And there was no real rhyme or reason to our route. We just plotted out a vaguely cool-looking trail that would take us to all the places that we'd always wanted to visit, or drive through, or pass by with a sort of look of disgust. I won't lie, the four of us were kind of comfortably... My nose got itchy. California, California, here I come. Collagen hardens scars web. Collagen hardens scars web. What is that? Oh, like for breaking up tissue. Collagen hardens scars web. Huh. I won't lie, the four of us were kind of comfortably off. One of us was, and still is, disgustingly rich, but also the most generous pal you'd ever meet. And so he offered to fund the majority of the trip, with the rest of us chipping in for food, touristy stuff, roach-infested digs that we might stay in, that kind of thing. God damn it. That kind of thing. Like what? Like, I'm a massage therapist, but I do good friends and family now. Ever since the incident. So he offered to fund the majority of the trip, with the rest of us chipping in for food, touristy stuff, roach-infested digs that we might stay in, that kind of thing. But our rich buddy, whose name honestly is Rich, paid for the vehicle, the gas, the upkeep, and he bought a brand new car for the trip, actually. And it was an absolutely stunning Camry, and to say that I was jealous would be an understatement. Now, a slightly buff silver, this thing was a beast. It maybe wasn't the best choice for a road trip. We would have probably been better off getting a van or a camper or something, but we just wanted to drive the American highways looking cool as we did. Now, there were four of us, and the Camry was comfortable, if intimate and crowded, and that suited me fine, given that the whole group... Massage therapists can mean a few things depending on where you're at. Only if you give the happiest of endings. Just beginning my overnight shift. Thank you for making it a little more entertaining. No worries, Justice. Good to see you. Good luck tonight. You'll need it. Oh, yeah, I want an angry ending. There's happy endings, and then there's angry endings where they shove something up your butt. I lost my massage therapist, now I need a new one. Yeah, that's honestly really tough. That's like losing your mom in a grocery store, but then you literally never find her again. That suited me fine, given who the group members were. And that was fine with me, given who the group members were. There was Rich, his boyfriend Andy, and then there was me, of course. And finally, there was Kay. Now, I've had a huge crush on Kay since the first year of college and never made a move. We just graduated at the start of summer when we went on that road trip, for some context. Now, naturally, while we all took turns driving, the majority of the trip was Rich handling his brand new Camry and Andy riding shotgun. And this meant that I got to spend hours, days really, in the backseat of a car with a girl that I believed was the love of my life. And yeah, okay, it's pretty obvious to anyone on the outside that I've been thoroughly friend-zoned, but bear with me. What is love without hope, and what is hope without being a hopeless romantic loser like myself? This is why my British friends call me a wanker, I guess. Now anyways, it was completely brilliant. Kay was a big gay. What a simp. A simple man looking for a simple plan. Joel, these stories are too scary. They're going to scare the hoes. I know. Are there any hoes in here that are thinking about leaving because the stories are too scary? I urge you to stick around. Anyway, it was brilliant. We spent the days driving, sightseeing, and hitting all the tourist traps that sheltered California kids like us. No, anyway, it was brilliant. We spent the days driving, sightseeing, and hitting all the tourist traps that sheltered Californian kids typically looked down upon. And then we spent the days in a mixture of high-quality hotels, but more often, these flea-ridden desert motels. Now, I couldn't have been happier. It was freaking epic. We passed through a bunch of deserts on our routes. One of our big things, mostly thanks to Andy, who was a geology nerd, was that we wanted to experience as many types of desert as possible, if you understand what I'm saying. A lot of people think deserts are just sand and all sorts of red dust, but that's not even slightly the case. County for where I live is about $2,000 for a bedroom apartment that's less than 800 square feet. Oh my god, yeah, California fucking sucks, bro. California, I mean, it doesn't suck, it's actually great, but it's just, how the fuck can people live? Like, would it literally kill any of these stupid fucking terrible politicians to ever, like, I don't know, cut taxes a little bit so shit's more affordable, you dumb fucking idiots? Like, I just don't, I, like, can't wrap my head around how, but it's like, oh, we gotta what do we gotta do? We gotta make a big fucking maglev train so that when everybody's in giant apartments because they can't afford anything, we can, but then they can't even, like, you know, they have to launder money through that, so they can't even get the fucking project done. Like how New York is no longer in debt. I don't know. I have no idea. Let's look it up. Let's look it up, folks. Folks, we're looking it up. We're going to look at this up. We're looking it up. They said I was never going to look it up, but guess what? Guess what I'm doing? I'm typing it into ChatGPT. Is New York in any debt? The silencer with the 2,000 Wakanda bucks. Thank you. $12 billion. Gone. Okay, let's see. New York State. Not New York City. Did you say New York City? California. I don't even remember what was said. Okay, yes, New York State is in debt, but it's not bankrupt or unable to pay its bills. As the end of the state fiscal year 2024 to 25, New York State had $2.3 billion in voter-approved general obligation debt, $55.9 billion in state-supported debt, $62.2 billion in total state debt under GAAP accounting. New York had the second highest state debt burden in the U.S. besides California, according to Moody's, as cited by the New York Comptroller. What were we talking about? Wait, why did you think it was not in debt? How the fuck would it ever get out of debt, though? That's the curiosity. I mean, I almost feel like it's, with the perpetual fiat currency system we have, like, debt is just, like, part of the process. Hey, Rockin' Retro, thank you for the 10 cents. Thanks for always helping me get through the work weeks with your videos. Long-time listener. This is one of the first streams I made it to. I work too much. Keep being awesome. Thank you, Rockin' Retro. Love you, bro. Thank you. It was very kind. Joel, do you ever get bored? Oh, I'm bored all the time. How do any of us get out of debt? I guess we just make more money than the debt we have, and then we pay it. But I mean, like, I don't know, in a weird way, it's like if you're, like, smart about your debt, you should probably always be in debt, like building your wealth with, like, just bullshit assets and stuff. When there's a long-ass paragraph, you forget what you're talking about. Yeah. 12 billion gone in Albany, I think. Yeah, what a load of malarkey, man. Like, how do you avoid all that corruption? I guess it's unavoidable, right? Nobody ever does anything about, like, fraud. Like, you look at all these states where they're, like, kind of bringing fraud to the forefront, and I mean, even that is probably just, like, scratching the surface of the fucking iceberg of fraud. Inheritance, yeah, maybe. Honestly, I genuinely don't think I would have been able to get out of my student loan debt just doing nursing. It would take so fucking long if I didn't have YouTube to bail my ass out. If you had a drill and some wood, you could bore through a board when you're bored. That's a good point. Yeah, kind of like a little monkey. The more money you make, the bigger your debt. I mean, technically, I guess that's smart, because then you can... Are you talking about individually, or are you referring to like states or something? Because I'm not really sure what you mean if you mean states. I prefer Caleb Hammer's approach, just yell at people. Oh yeah, that guy's... I haven't really watched any of his stuff, but I mean, it's just like... I guess it's just one of those things where he brings on these lol cows, and then he like shows you that the lol cows are still lol cows while exploiting their stupidity with money. New York will literally tax the hell out of you if you do well, especially if you... Yeah. I'm not a big fan of taxes, and like honestly, the higher you tax everyone, like, it's not going to save anything. You're just going to like make all the wealthy people that pay most of the taxes fucking leave and go somewhere else, and then what happens? It all turns into a fucking ghost town or some shit. I just don't really understand. What the government needs to do is just get the fuck out of its own way. Let us figure it out. The government can't figure out shit. They're just a bunch of unqualified bozos. They don't have... You know what I mean? Because it's just like 1, 3, 4, 5... It's a minimal amount of people trying to make decisions for industries that they have no fucking clue about ever. It's like, just let the grocery stores that make the money selling groceries and working with the buying and selling of produce and items, they know what it's about. Not some fucking dipshit who comes in and is like, I got it, guys. We're just gonna make we're just gonna make all the Pokemon boxes $15 so we can all buy Pokemon. There won't be any negative side effects economically, I promise. I promise. And like, how are we gonna pay it? Well, you'll pay for it. You just pay it from your fucking taxes. And we're only gonna have one jar of marmalade that everyone shares. Here in California, fast food workers make $20 an hour minimum wage, but only work part-time. Yeah, but I mean, like, you increase the minimum wage, but once again, you got to think of, like, economics like a gasket. Like, you move one nodule over here, and it moves gas over here, It's like, it's all proportionate to itself. It's all self-referential in the terms of, like, value. So, like, sure, you can force the minimum wage up or whatever, but then it's just going to cause the price of food to increase. It's going to cause, it just has a cascade effect to all the other, various costs of items. It's just really supply and demand is really all you need to know. I just think there should be like competitive wages. That's what honestly, some of the best places you can work are the ones that actually like are competitively trying to get like lower qualified workers to get involved. There's some like nice grocery stores around here that pay pretty fucking well, and people literally are really loyal. They stick the fuck around forever. Is the hantavirus gonna kill us all? I don't know. Dude, I've been thinking about breakfast for dinner the past 2 days. Dude, you should definitely make it, bro. A lot of people think deserts are just sand and red dust, but that's not even slightly the case. Did you know most snowfields are technically deserts? Huge areas of just shingles, all sorts of stuff. Now, most salt flats are also deserts, which I think is a more commonly known fact, but it's the Utah Salt Flats, the Great Salt Lake Desert, where this first started. If you've never been, in my opinion anyway, Utah is an absolutely stunning state. The Salt Flats, the Salt Lake Desert, it's a miracle of nature. There's just something about it. Something haunting and beautiful about it all. The Boneville. Welcome to Boneville. How do you make your voice different when you read compared to reading stories? So like you have your voice box, right? And you kind of talk in your natural tone here, but then you want to bring your Adam's apple or whatever you have, like, down here. And then you start saying stuff like this down in a lower octave. I was growing convinced that I might not be in the friend zone after all. I think she might actually want to play with my bush. Sorry. Alright, the Boneville Salt Flats. The Bonerville. Joel, do you practice smiling in the mirror? Yeah, just so people don't find out that I'm psycho. Psycho insane. Bonneville. Okay, Bonneville, my bad. The Bonneville Salt Flats were like a spiritual experience for me, especially experiencing it with Kay. I was growing convinced that I might not be in the friend zone after all. And at one of the motels, there had only been 2 double rooms available. Kay was the one who suggested she and I share, and nothing happened between us, but she wasn't particularly shy in walking out of the shower wrapped in a towel. You know, the kind of thing that makes a naive young man think that she might have a crush when really it's a huge friend zone red flag. But oh well, not the point. Well, it is and does sort of relate, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Now, we spent maybe too long exploring the deserts of Utah. The sun was beginning to set as we trekked back to the car, ready to head to our next rest stop destination. A few miles down the road, and we spied a car pulled into the Verge. Onto the Verge. Welcome back to the Verge, guys. Welcome back from that disgusting capitalistic, ad-filled break. You're listening to the Verge. Do I have a bush? My property is filled with bush. Anybody got anything cool to say? Like anything, like, were you guys excited for anything? Or anything, like, any drama? Anything like you're just like, what the fuck? Canada, that's exciting. Joel, what do you know, bro? You live in Pennsylvania. That's a good point, man. What the fuck do I know? Honestly, the more I think, the less I do. You meant normal talking compared to... Thanks. Yeah. Isn't that what I did? I'm like, you talk in your normal voice, and then... Which is just sort of normal, and then you talk in your spooky voice. You ever been to the Poconos Raceway? I actually never have. I probably should go at some point. I hear they're pretty fun. Quarter drama. Yeah, I don't know. The quartering drama is like not that exciting to me because it's just kind of like sad, right? It's just a dude who like who's addicted to alcohol. Like how many times have you had like a family member or a friend who gets addicted to a drug or whatever and their life just turns to shit, right? And that's his life, sadly, and you know, it is what it is. How about DCF as evil child traffickers? Who's that? Been listening to you and going to the gym for almost 2 years. Let's go, dude. Keep going. Keep working. Used to love watching the quartering. Haven't touched the channel in like 6 months. I've seen a few of the quartering videos back in the day whenever it was like peak like culture war stuff. And the quartering, like, he never really added anything to his commentary. Like, he just kind of like talked about something and then just sort of like repeats the typical like, whoa, that's fucking woke, you know. And it's, I don't know, it just gets so old, like the sort of divisive, like I get it, like all that sort of divisive stuff can be really annoying, but if you're not going to give like any sort of like actual intelligent take on something, like why even like devote your entire content stream related to that? But and then it was always like coffee brand coffee, make sure you get your coffee brand coffee. It's covered in fucking mold and sourced by little African kids who's had their fingers chopped off because they stole one bean. Have you heard of the Lake Tahoe electric power plant trauma? No, dude, that sounds pretty cool. When am I streaming mixtape? I've been playing mixtape off stream for so long. I'm on my 15th playthrough. But after my 15th playthrough, I realized it's a 1 out of 10. So let's see, what did you say? Lake Tahoe electric power plant drama. This might be interesting. I've made 5 new friends as an adult. Booyah. That's pretty actually like a new record for most people, including myself. I like just don't make new friends. That yodeling techno was dope the other night. It was pretty good, wasn't it? We should listen to that again. Any new multiplayer games that don't suck butt farts right now from the ass tap? Don't even play pretend, Justin. We all know you're a jock. We all know you're the coolest kid in school who's never touched a carbohydrate or an energy drink or a video game. Walking around with your 6-pack, pretending like you're some nerd. You're just pretending to be a nerd so you can fuck our nerd chicks. We got a really cute, semi-autistic chicks that hang out in our D&D group, and you think you can just roll in here with your hunk body and steal them from us. Newsflash, pal. Not flicking happening while I'm her alpha, okay? Buzz off. Okay, the Lake Tahoe electric power plant drama is basically this. Liberty Utilities, which serves much of the California side of Lake Tahoe, currently gets about 75% of its electricity from Nevada Energy, NV Energy in Nevada. NV Energy has told Liberty it will stop supplying that power after May 2027, forcing Liberty to find a replacement source for roughly 49,000 Sierra/Tahoe customers. The controversial part is why. Reporting says NV Energy is facing huge new demand from Nevada data centers. Oh my God, of course. Especially around the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, where companies like Google, Apple, and Microsoft have or are expanding facilities. Data centers already used about 22% of Nevada's electricity in 2024, with projections as high as 35% by 2030, according to SF Gates' summary. So the framing people are reacting to is Tahoe residents may lose their long-time power supply because Nevada's grid is being redirected towards AI data center growth so it can spy on them. That's so fucked, dude. Like, why do people give a shit? Like, why are they so obsessed with these data centers? Like, what's the end game for the data centers? Can I tell Appalachia stories? Yeah, we'll probably get there eventually. What's up, Polar Bear? How you been? You think it's rage bait? This whole yeah, the AI data centers are just rage bait. I don't know, it's honestly insane. Like, everyone's just gonna be like without power and just all the water is gonna be completely fucked. Just so what? They're like, what are they doing there? Maybe they have like underground cities or something below the power, below those fake AI data centers. Maybe they're creating like some type of like huge portal for aliens to come through. I don't know. Like, what is the purpose of all of it? Imagine that. Nobody has any energy. Nobody has any water. Yeah. I'm wondering what anime figures and plushies they have at around 1 on my birthday. I want either Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, or any of the Persona characters from the video game series. I wish I knew. More nerd shit. How many stories we got today? I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to check. Please tell spooky stories. Real life stuff sucks. We want to forget. That's totally fair, yeah. The data centers hold the secrets of the perfect grilled cheese. Yeah, exactly. You have a hot nerdy girl in your life? I fucking wish, man. I literally just need some hot nerdy chick to go around with me to go buy Pokemon cards. And then maybe at some point she gets pregnant. That's literally all I need in my existence and I'll be like set. What's my persona? It's just a big slug. I've said it many times. You'll be able to find me at all the conventions. Just follow my snail trail. Starry-eyed 87, welcome to the Buttersock cult. You're now having access to bonus content. Thank you. A banana slug. No, I have like a shell and everything. Girls do dig slugs. Make it sound like the pregnancy would be spontaneous. Yeah, just being next to me. Sometimes I just have a cloud of semen floating around like spores. You see, if you read this, you might lose a bit of brain cells, but what they're doing is creating a big crater to then gather together and chant and all take a big poop all at once in the crater. That does make a lot of sense, honestly, when you think about it. Okay. A few miles down the road, and we spied a car pulled onto the verge. Unpleasant-looking black smoke was billowing out from under the hood, and an extremely red-faced man was pacing back and forth behind the car, as if hoping the desert plains would offer up some answer. We slowed and pulled up behind him. No way were we leaving a fellow traveler alone on the road, especially knowing how cold it could get even in the summer. And that's another thing about deserts. Most of them get extremely cold at night, you might know, apart from the frozen tundra ones, of course. They're just cold, period. And so, the road we were traveling wasn't entirely void of other travelers, but it wasn't exactly bustling with traffic either. Most of the other drivers seemed to be vacationers or road trippers like us. It wasn't exactly a route that you took to and from work, which in retrospect could have been a red flag, and you'll see why. When we pulled up on the verge behind Angry Breakdown Man, you could almost see the relief fill his body. We all climbed out of the car, but Rich did the talking. He had a bit of a gift of gab. It turns out that the Angry Breakdown Man was named Cliff, and he'd been traveling home from work when something just sort of exploded under his hood. Now, he knew nothing about cars, so he just had to stand there and watch as thick black smoke billowed out from under the hood of his red Ford. Rich did know about cars, and he knew enough to try and pop the hood would be a bad idea right now. Whatever was going on, it looked like it might actually catch fire any minute, and he suggested that Cliff climb in with us, and we'd ride the 3 to 4 hour trip to the motel that we booked, and he could sort his own stuff out from there. Now Rich, ever the kind guy he is, told Cliff not to worry about costs and things for the time being. Kay climbed into the back of the Camry, and I moved to sit next to her, in the middle, of course, and before I had a chance, Cliff practically dived in my way and scrambled next to Kay, and Kay shot me a look that suggested that she wasn't. Do you ever feel burnout doing live streams? I know over time it can take a toll. I mean, I get a little depressed that the numbers go down whenever I changed a little bit of the time. You want me to do a gender poll? We're gonna do a gender reveal party. We're doing a gender reveal, everybody. What's your gender? Boy. Girl. Poll has begun. Place your bets, ladies and gents. Cali diverted all the water sources into inopportune places. New York has kind of did the same with their reservoirs, but it's sustainable. I don't know, man. It just worries me. I mean, can you imagine existing, leading up to 2030? We have, a World War III scenario. We have fucking no water, no food from, the fertilizer shortage. I don't know, man. Imagine just all of those things happening at once. What year were you live streams most popular? Probably when I first started, back in 2017, 18. I do remember in California they diverted the water or something because they were trying to protect some really specific fish, the most ridiculously stupid thing. Run for president and save our asses. The thing is that every president that's ever been in power, probably since JFK, has been highly controlled and influenced by the CIA. So when you look at Trump and you see all of his the connections to Epstein, all that kind of stuff, and the fact that Epstein was connected to intelligence agencies, and whether it was Mossad or fucking CIA or MI6 or whatever, you know what I mean? All that kind of shit, or is it MI5? I forget. But you know what I mean? If you're not part of their club, you're not making a fucking difference. And if you do start to make a difference, you either like get blackmailed, they kill your wife, they, you know what I mean? They have like, you know, as they say, they have like 9 ways to Sunday to get you to do what they want you to do. So, I mean, honestly, running for politics at this point is like just some big facade. I don't know. I mean, maybe locally you can help make changes. Maybe that's just kind of a defeatist mentality that I've presented. Yeah, CIA shareholders, business, but well, exactly. Like there's just, and then eventually you get a taste of it, right? You get a taste of the side of sin, you know what I mean? A sinful existence that just like is both insatiable, but then also like if anybody found out to the extent that you were corrupted, it would just be like the end of all. So now it's like you got to like protect yourself and be wary everywhere you go, and you know, almost like perpetuate your evil, like a dung beetle rolling up a huge dung ball. But the dung ball is like so fucking large that if you let go of it and you don't keep rolling it and making it better, it'll roll back on you and just squish you. That's why you just follow Jesus Christ. I mean, yeah, honestly, like if you live like a simpler life, like just a loser who is starving, literally just starve. If you were starving in the desert right now, you would probably be in a better position than like half of these politicians who, you know, exist in exotic systems. Because at least then your eternal soul would be somewhat free from, I don't know, the damnation, the condemnation of what they've done. Being an atheist is cooler. I mean, that's fine too, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It seems a little bit directionless, but I'm not trying to judge. Political dung ball, friend of the show. Did you know Central Cali is the world's feeding basket as far as produce? We supply a huge percentage of all produce. That's why it's so important to keep it watered. Central Cali is all commercial. Yeah. Isn't it there in like Florida or something? At least for citrus stuff, I was sort of familiar with. 200K salary with a $600 million net worth. Something ain't adding up. It is quite strange. Like at this point, I don't really know why anybody like has any sort of like defense of politicians. You know what I mean? Like you still, like there's still so many times where I sign into Instagram and I see people being like, fucking libtards, or like, fucking conservacucks, or whatever you want to say. It's like, this is what they believe. Look at a load of these dipshits. And it's like, I genuinely think we can assume at this point, even if you might not, you know, the hypothetical demon that the other side presents to you, I think you can kind of arrive at the position that your side is not going to save anybody either at this point, and that it's all just corrupted. When you have something like cancer, things change. Not for all, but it did for me. Screw me over with cancer and not my bullies. That sounds rough, yeah. Joe, can you cover serial killers on your other channel, Saturn Soul? Henry Howard Holmes was a great one. Do Ted Bundy and Ed Gein next. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we definitely have a whole serial killers playlist over there for sure. Gotta be the change you want to see in the world. That's true. As simple as that phrase is, like, I mean, it does all just kind of start with you. And yeah, I think I did do H.H. Holmes at some point. Kay shot me a look that suggested that she wasn't entirely comfortable about this, but what could we say? And let me tell you a little something about this Cliff. He was dressed in what seemed like business attire, but he ditched his suit jacket and tie back at the car. He hadn't bothered to retrieve these, and I could see a dusty suit jacket abandoned on the floor. I guess it wasn't a tailored fit, or maybe work paid for his clothes. I don't know. I'm not an office worker. Now, he was also a fella who was on the larger side. It was impossible for myself and Kay to sit in the back of that Camry next to him without being touched by his sweaty body. And boy, did he sweat. The damp patches under his arms were more like waterfalls than puddles, and even in Rich's air-conditioned, wonderful car that he had, Cliff didn't seem to be cooling down at all. Sweat was just pouring down his face, and I wouldn't normally be this mean about someone's appearance, but I think it's justified here, and I'm sure you'll soon see why. Things were a little awkward at first. Cliff decided to talk about himself relentlessly, even when we stopped. I'd rather believe in God to be wrong than believe in him and than not believing and be wrong. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I realize at this point, it's like the things that people think in their head, like, you just can't, you know? Like, you might be able to reason them through it, through a nice, like, comfortable conversation. And I hope that most people will be open to having conversations of that sort. Because if you can plant a certain seed in someone's mind, maybe eventually they'll see around to your perspective. But, yeah, everyone just thinks differently, and you can't, you know, it's like a fingerprint. You can kind of mush it around, I guess, a little bit, maybe even singe it. No, maybe fingerprint's not a good analogy, but both sides are stupid Republicans. Democrats were spit roasting kids on the island, yet both sides still act like they're morally superior because they support one side or other. It is quite strange, like how that, like, I mean, the fact that we just like gloss over the Epstein stuff is so fucking weird to me. I mean, like, I genuinely, like, I've had people sit there and tell me that, like, with 6 million, you know, files, even though to a degree, it's like you do wonder, like, it's like the people that investigated themselves are the ones releasing the files, so it's almost in your mind, you're like, what the fuck is going on? But 6 million, you know, associative actions and, you know, related to Epstein and all that kind of stuff from the DOJ over years and years and years. And some people honestly will, like, I'll hear people sit, like, I've had two genuine friends of mine, whenever I point out the Epstein, or like I talk about it, they're just like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. Epstein was just sort of like a glorified pimp. I'm like, yeah, but what, for trafficked children? They're like, no. I mean, some of those girls had it. Like, it was just like the way that they defend it, they poo-poo it off. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, the guy was, I mean, and it's not like he was just procuring these kids for politicians and rich people. It's like he also was like working very closely with like high-end scientists, anti-gravity scientists, biologists, you know, the founder of concepts related to AI. Like, this guy was like some high-level mad scientist shit, you know, way worse than like Bill Gates. And I don't know. It's just weird to me how people, I mean, maybe that's just how, like, it's just easier to compartmentalize life by just like, you know, saying fuck it, I'd rather just not believe in it than, I guess, looking into it. But does your God tell you to go to the desert to look for deadest goddesses? Yeah, he does once in a while. I never listen, though. That's the trickster God. That's a different God. That's why a lot of us women don't even try to talk about men about being abused. Well, I mean, I'm sure not all of them would be poo-pooing you like that. I just feel like the fact that I have two friends who are like usually pretty open-minded about that kind of stuff, or like even well-versed pertaining to a lot of like current events, I guess you could say. Like, it just, I don't know. Maybe they're just, you know, I'm tired, boss. It's one of those like I'm tired, boss type scenarios where you're just like, there's just too much information. I can't process this. I've studied so many different religions throughout my life trying to figure out what to believe. I came to the conclusion that I believe in God. It's flawed for sure, but if you actually look at, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Let's get off this godforsaken island. What's up, FBTMD? Oh man, I don't know. Do I like Five Nights at Freddy's? Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Cliff decided to talk about himself relentlessly even when we stopped asking, and the stories he told were similar but weirdly conflicting. One moment he was a salesman who worked out of an office in Salt Lake City. The next he was a traveling salesman, hence why he'd been on that stretch of road. Now he hinted that he was part of the LDS Church, a Mormon you might know them as, but seemed to know nothing about the faith. He claimed that he had a wife and referred to them as being together, but later said that they were separated. One story he did consistently stick to, though, was that he wasn't allowed to see his kids. He reassured us that this was because of his B-word of a mother-in-law and nothing he'd ever done wrong, but, you know, where there's smoke, pouring out of the hood of a red car no less, then there's fire. Now the shame is that this was in 2002, because he might as well have claimed it was because they don't understand the things that Oh, fuck. It should have played a twerking sound, but let me just do it for you. Holy shit, David Monroe, thank you for the 70 Canadian dollars. That's massive. I don't really know why. It's been playing this like weird noise. I'm gonna do a little more twerking for you. There we go. Got it. Got it to clap. David, thank you so much for the 70 buccarinos. That's very, very kind. What do we owe the pleasure? Crazy. Maybe I need to start streaming late again. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't. Thank you, David. Joe, please, is your golden statue erected on your front lawn or back lawn? It should be coming. It should be in the front. But I am putting up a... I'm re-erecting a statue of a very prominent Freemason here soon. You might know him. He goes by the name of A. Pike. He'll be right in the center of town here soon. And FBTMD, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Joel, you're 35. Be careful you don't throw your back out with twerking. That's true. One shift of the spine and I'm fucking paralyzed to a freak twerking accident. When are you doing a collab with Vidith Tutu or Dr. Creepin? I've collabed with them in the past. Definitely Dr. Creepin a few times. Joel, just to let you know, I really do look forward to these live casts and enjoy them. Love the community. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Moon. Appreciate you. What's your favorite story you've ever told? Probably the one where those like little rock people shoved that homeless guy into a tree nook and like nobody cared. That like 100% is like just one of my favorite stories. Like all those 4chan stories were so fucking weird, but they were so funny. What about Mr. Nightmare, Mr. Ballin? I've collabed with Mr. Ballin. That didn't go great. And then Mr. Nightmare I've never collabed with, but we will get there one day. If only he will see me, my senpai. My senpai. Now, it's a shame this was in 2002 because he might as well have just claimed it was because, quote, they don't understand the things I say on Twitter. Now, I think by this point, Rich and Andy had tuned him out, leaving Kay and I to listen to Cliff's blabbering and blubbering. Now, the real problematic moment came when his chubby hand rested, by accident, on Kay's bare thigh. She visibly reacted with a hell no, and Cliff acted horrified. He apologized, insisting that he hadn't been thinking, and then he meant nothing by it. Now, I tried to diffuse the situation by pointing out some natural beauty through the white window. The white window. God, I have a fucking... You are no longer in collab with Mr. Ballin. Nah, we just did the Twist of History thing, and then it got cut from their programming for, you know... I think it was primarily just funding... contractual kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Creepcast collab when? Dude, I watched an episode of Creepcast for the first time the other day, and it was them in like a haunted mansion, you know, like just reading a story while like Meat Canyon like says funny comments and shit like that. And I was like, what the I was like, I had no idea this was what it was. It's literally just like this, what I do on the live stream right here, where you just like read and then say some stupid shit, and then you read and say some stupid shit, and I'm like, but it's brilliant because it's edited so well that whenever like Hunter kind of like chimes in with something, like he's so fucking funny, man. I mean, Wendigoon is really funny too. It's just, it would be fun. I mean, like, I hate to be like parasocial, but you like watch those and you're like, you know, I'd have a great time with these boys. We would get along awesome at the orgies. What do you think of people calling themselves empaths? Those people are probably rapists. Don't talk to them. Anybody who calls themselves an empath just means that they can, like, feel the blood pumping through your body and they want to drain it from you. Anyways, I try to diffuse the situation by pointing out some natural beauty through the right window, and this allowed Kay a private moment to wipe Cliff's sweat from her skin without looking too rude, not that he deserved it. Now, the next weird thing was Cliff blurting out that he believed you just entered an endless abyss of nothing when you die. We hadn't even been discussing a remotely similar topic. He just sort of said it. And I'm pretty sure that's not all. Pretty sure that's not at all. How do you feel about attachment theory? Actually, that's a good question. How do I feel about that? What is attachment theory? Dark empath. Dark empath is kind of like dark, like Sabrina's dark Alakazam card, holographic. Attachment theory is the idea that the way you bond with caregivers early in life can shape how you feel, trust, depend on, and respond to people in close relationships later. It started with psychologist John Bowlby, and later Mary Ainsworth studied it in children. Today, people often use it to talk about romantic relationships, friendships, and family dynamics. The main attachment styles are secure attachment. You generally trust people, feel comfortable with closeness, and can handle conflict without assuming the relationship is doomed. I feel kind of like that, I guess. That's kind of like, I feel like that. Anxious attachment. You may worry people will leave, need frequent reassurance, overthink texts or tones, feel emotionally activated when someone pulls away. Maybe a little bit in that direction, a tad, but not that much. Avoidant attachment. You may value independence strongly, feel uncomfortable with too much emotional closeness, shut down during conflict, or pull away when someone needs too much from you. No, I'm not really like that. I like when people fucking give me a big squeeze. Fearful avoidant attachment. You may want closeness but also fear it. This can create push-pull pattern, craving connection, then feeling overwhelmed or suspicious when they hit you over the head with a fucking rock. Yeah. I feel like the first one probably, mainly. I'm offended law because I'm a woman, not a girl. Girl means child, well, in my opinion. What are we talking about? Also, I don't know, getting too worked up about words doesn't make any sense. I've heard like 80-year-old men refer to like 80-year-old women as like girls. Like those girls over there, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just the words. So since you won't come by my B-Day, can you hook me up with some PS store credit so I can buy more pinball tables in FX3 Pinball? You know, we do have an in-house gamer. He goes by the name of Justin Ballas. He's played every game ever. I think he's got free creds for that one specifically. There's a poll. Oh, well, if you're offended by the girl one, can I be offended by the boy one? Can you be offended by yourself? And if you get offended by yourself, do you have the legal right to beat the shit out of your own self too? Is that possible? Because no, you know, people can't cancel you if you jump off a cliff first. Oh, you're mad at me? Well, what if I jump in front of a fucking moving van? How do you feel now? Now those mean things that were legitimate criticisms don't fucking count, because I'm dead. I'm pretty sure that's not at all what Mormons believe, for one thing. But it was just such a dark, bleak thing to hear as the sun was vanishing over the horizon and the night was kicking in. I checked my watch, still an hour until we reached the rest stop. Cliff fell silent for a moment, then just said it again. An abyss. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what I think. Kay, in perhaps one of her funniest moments, suggested that we play I Spy to distract from Cliff's misery. Everyone else groaned except for Cliff, who just blurted out, "She's back there, you know? Back where I came from?" I asked him what he meant, and with this sudden burst of shocking venom, he said that he was talking about his ex-wife. I wondered if he meant that she was back in the nearest town or city, and that's where she lived with the kids. No. "I left her in the trunk," he said, or something along those lines. Andy, suddenly paying attention, asked the important question. Was she alive?" According to Cliff, she was not. Her decomposing body was in the trunk of his Ford, and had been so for some days. "I did it," he added. Well, holy hot salt, Batman. What were we to do? This guy had just outright claimed that his dead wife, who he had murdered, was sitting in a car we were driving him far away from. On one hand, we could just keep driving and get him to the rest stop before calling the cops. In the early 2000s, our brick Nokias most definitely didn't get reception out in the salt flats, and for all I know, it still is a cell phone dead zone out there. On the other hand, for all we knew, Cliff had a knife or a gun and a surprising propensity. Surprising propensity? You think you can recognize souls from past lives? I feel like I have, in a weird way. But maybe that's just because I was smoking Salvia. I don't know. Maybe that's because of all the fumes. Have I been to Delorda? Florida. Yeah, I've been to Florida quite a few times. I think I'm pretty neat. Thanks, dude. Unfortunately, I find that to be harassment. When was the last time? When was the last time? Maybe back in like 2023, I want to say. Or no, I think it was maybe May of 2024. Because I remember I got like such, I don't know. It was, yeah. It was very, very hot. Do you recognize yourself in the mirror, or do you freak out in the morning? Dude, I can't imagine what it feels like when you're like 80 and your skin's like melting off and you're like, who the fuck is that? On the other hand, for all we knew, Cliff had a knife or a gun and a surprising propensity for in-vehicle violence. And the longer we drove with him, the more at risk we were. Kay, the genius, had already been working on a plan. She was all like, hey Greg, I forgot to show you this pamphlet for the world's biggest... Oh my god, we're probably gonna have to stop. I have to stop after this story. How fucking close are we? No, we're almost done. Okay, thank Christ. My sleep's not gonna be great, but it is what it is. Folks, sometimes you gotta just not sleep ever and die. Aubergina. What the fuck? What the fuck? Put in the work. Make it twerk. Where am I from? We are from Turkey. 24-hour live stream starting right now. Be there or be spherical. Now she was all, hey Greg, I forgot to show you this pamphlet for the world's biggest aubergine? What the fuck? She was all like, hey Greg, I forgot to show you this pamphlet for the world's biggest This word fucking sucks. Then she says, hey Greg, I forgot to show you this pamphlet for the world's biggest aubergine. Check it out. And then she reached past Cliff and handed me this pamphlet. Now I was confused at first until I looked through. Somehow she managed to scribble a few words inside. Gonna ask to stop to pee. Kick him out. I replied telling Kay that the huge aubergine looked like a great time and we should visit, and that was her cue. She asked Rich to pull over so she could quickly take a pee in the salt desert, and Rich obliged. Kay climbed out of the car, clearly trying to keep calm, and I saw her step to the side. And then, in an act of heroic strength, I genuinely don't think I would have managed if I hadn't been trying to get into Kay's pants, I both shoved and kicked Cliff out of the open door. It somehow went perfectly. He went sprawling face first onto the asphalt, and Kay gave him a kick for good measure and dived back into the car and screamed at Rich to drive. He was peeling away before Kay even got the door closed. Kay and I looked out the back windshield while Rich and Andy checked out the rearview mirrors. Well, we saw... Do I snore or fart in my sleep? Kind of a mixture of both. It's sort of like an ass snore. It's just like the sound that like someone from their mouth makes snoring at night, but like coming out of my butthole. The floating emojis remind me of the game Bop It. What a classic. Kay and I looked out the back windshield while Rich and Andy checked the rearview mirrors, and what we saw chilled us to the bone. Cliff was spinning around, howling towards the sky, tearing his shirt off, and as he did so, we could see the old healed scars of something that looked like a pentagram on his back. We hightailed it to the rest stop, breaking the speed limit almost in the hopes that we'd get pulled over by cops so we could tell the story. No such luck, but we did call them as soon as we got to the all-night diner attached to the motel. We breathlessly recounted our story to the night waitress, who seemed to regard it with an almost bored acceptance, claiming that yeah, weird things happen around here sometimes. And the cops showed up a couple of hours later, which I guess you can't blame them for given the remote location. And they went looking for Cliff and told us to stay at the motel for a few nights until they got back in touch. And there was no sign of Cliff. They did find his Ford, which had been apparently deliberately torched. There was no murdered ex-wife in the trunk. Whether he went back and retrieved her, or he lied, or something else entirely, I have no idea. There were no reports of a missing person, especially anyone married to a guy called Cliff, and his existence was just some mystery. The cops theorized that the pentagram or whatever we saw carved into his flesh was some kind of leftover from the handful of true stories of satanic panic from the 80s. Some kids really did suffer from abuse, masked by the satanic panic furor. Do you ever find the satanic panic concept kind of strange? Like, I feel like it's almost like a way to like poo-poo off if maybe there actually were like human trafficking rings or something doing things. I mean, with the Epstein stuff, we kind of get like some indication that these elites of sorts worshipped weird deities while eating people and doing terrible things to children. But I mean, I don't know. Mob mentality and groupthink. But I mean, you know, we're going to look into it. Well, do we have time? I don't even know if we have time. Can you quickly explain satanic panic? I mean, it could be one giant gaslighting. I mean, it feels like. I mean, like, what was how many cases were just dismissed because of it? The fear was fueled by things like sensational TV reports, religious panic about occultism, fear of heavy metal, Dungeons & Dragons, horror media, questionable recovered memory therapy, children being interviewed in leading and coercive ways, police prosecutors taking weak accusation as proof, the most famous example is the McMartin preschool case where daycare workers were accused of bizarre ritual abuse. It became one of the longest and most expensive criminal trials in U.S. history, but no convictions resulted. Well, I don't know. Groupthink, delusions, social engineering. I don't know. It was a psyop. It's real. They said that therapists started planting false memories in children of satanic rituals. How the fuck did they do that? I mean, that in and of itself sounds just as creepy as the rituals themselves. Fucking therapists planting false memories in kids. Like, I don't know, it just seems like a lot of like mental gymnastics. And then, let's see. For the McMartin preschool case, where did that happen? Isn't Psyop a Pokemon? Yeah, he is. Psyop. The Martin preschool case happened in Manhattan Beach, California, and Los Angeles County. The preschool was called McMartin Preschool, and the allegations began. Were there any accusations that the legal reps were on the side of the accused? Psilocybin. Let's think. I mean, because, if you get the right people in the positions to, like, cover up your case, I don't know. Seems like nobody really ever believes kids for the most part. If enough people are like, shut up, you're just a kid, then eventually nobody takes them seriously. There was a major controversy involving a former prosecutor who later sided with the defense. The key person was Glenn Stevens, one of the original prosecutors in the McMartin case. He eventually left the prosecution's side and later argued that the remaining defendants, Ray Buckey and Peggy McMartin Buckey, were being unfairly prosecuted. Families of the... It's original prosecutor... Oh, that's kind of weird. To be on the prosecutor's side and switch? Like, what the fuck? Families of alleged victims that then reportedly called for a state investigation into him because he was... now says he sides with the defense. That is very odd. Stevens also accused other... I mean, because most of the time, don't lawyers, like... They don't even care what the actual truth is. They just like fight tooth and nail to like win an argument. Did I say prostitute? No. The prostitution. Your Honor, the prostitution rests. Stevens also accused other prosecutors of withholding evidence from the defense, including information about the credibility and mental health of the mother whose initial accusation triggered the case. The LA Times reported that Stevens, by then allied with the defense, testified that he withheld evidence about that mother. The LA Times reported that Stevens, by then allied with the defense, testified that he had held... Oh, so that's even weirder. So Stevens went to the other side and then, like, made the case worse. What the fuck? Like, he self-sabotaged the prosecution. Doesn't that seem kind of strange, guys? A little bit? So the dynamic was not exactly the legal reps for the children were secretly on the accused side. It was more like a former prosecutor broke with the prosecution, said the case was deeply flawed, and became aligned with the defense, which outraged some parents' families who still believe the abuse allegations. I mean, I don't know, maybe he was pursuing the truth, but it just seems really strange. How often do they have, like, lawyers, like, just jumping, switch, hold on, guys, I'm going to switch to the other team real quick. I don't see any issue here. These guys are being unfairly covered. I love watching the footage of defense attorneys doing their job with the biggest scumbag clients, and it's like, how low are you willing to... Yeah, I mean, that's just the lawyer's job, is to just win. People having phones in their pockets made a big difference. If the devil is for you, who can stand against you? I guess maybe some higher entity beyond the devil, probably. Something like Jesus or God or whatever. He was paid off, probably. I wound up learning how to argue like a lawyer with my ex, who is one. Yeah, they're pretty annoying people, because they're performers, too. Like, lawyers are just like these grandiose performers who, oh, I took theater class, blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. What does buttersock cult even mean? It just means nothing. It's just the ridiculous nature of the idea of a cult. It's a buttersock. I hired the same law firm twice, and they got me 2 at-fault red end car accident case dismissed. Nice. How long are socks required for a buttersock? Should be about knee-high length. The meaning of buttersock is revealed to you in a dream, and you're officially a member. That's true. Changed it from he said, she said to, okay, watch this video on my phone. Right. Listened to a lawyer yesterday say that they have to be a... Yeah. I don't know. Weird case, weird shit. Who knows, man? I mean, honestly, if you did grow up in a... Okay, because we do know that human trafficking happens. We do know that ritual abuse happens, right? We can assume that. So we can also be under the interpretation that, like, a well-oiled human trafficking, abuse machine that also deals in child abuse and ritualistic behaviors probably has... it would be intelligent to have, like, law on your side, right? You know what I mean? To have the judges involved, to have lawyers involved. You know what I mean? I mean, it does sound like a movie, right? It sounds almost like Hereditary or some shit like that. But it's not it's not out of the realm of possibility that, like, everyone would do everything they can to disparage children's, accusations, and I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Some kids really did suffer from abuse masked by the satanic panic fervor. Very few people are aware of that fact. Not all of it was actually made up. And so Cliff could have been anyone. He could have been a mentally ill victim of an abusive upbringing. He could have been a member of a 2000-style Manson family. He could have been a wife killer. But one thing he couldn't have been is a passenger on our road trip for any longer than he was, and I have no regrets about kicking that terrifying man to the curb, literally. But as one final sting in the tail, which I'm sure you've guessed, yes, Kay and I never got together. I wasn't her type, I assume anyways, and I had the guts to tackle a potential wife killer, but I still never got the courage to tell Kay how I felt about her. Oh well. If Cliff's marriage was true and any indication of married life, then maybe I'm better off staying as a single, eligible bachelor. WTAF 45, welcome to the Buttersuck Call. You now have access to bonus content. What I should do is one day is come into the stream and just be like, what the fuck are you talking about, the Buttersuck Cult? It never was that before. It always was the Hershey Kissers. Oh well. If Cliff's marriage was true and any indication of married life, then maybe I'm better off staying as a single, eligible bachelor. Dude, I got 4 little crotch goblins. I never got to listen to your live stream. Ah, shit. Crotch goblins. Oh, shoot. Alright, guys. We're only like halfway done with this shit, but I do 100% gotta go to bed. I'm very sorry. The stream only went for like 2 hours, but, you know, I promise it won't be this way now. This was just like a odd night where I had to do some IRL stuff, but I do have to get up early in the morning tomorrow to go work out and all that kind of shit, and then I'll continue recording later. But I love you guys, appreciate you. You know what I should do though? I should gift you guys some, because I think we've had about like 20 gifted memberships tonight. Oh yeah, we have to end the poll. Looks like we have a slight majority of women in the chat, which means we will be banning all of them very soon here. Memberships. Wait, no. No? Click that wrong again. Membership gifting. 20 memberships. It's $10 million now. And buy. And absolutely buy. Definitely a buy. There you go, friends. Enjoy. Go check out the bonus content if you haven't yet. But yeah, I will get this up edited tomorrow on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access. And then we'll get it up on YouTube. Same time, same place. 9 p.m. EST. Do try and watch it on YouTube first as soon as it pops out, because, you know, that always helps quite a bit. Because, you know, YouTube seems to be very heavily predicated. 1, is your thumbnail and title worth clicking? 2, is there a lot of view velocity? Can you maintain the viewer? And then lastly, I believe it's just like getting people to stay on YouTube in general. And Strauss, thank you for the 10. Until next time, I shall never receive a free membership as long as I have ad blocker. Is that how it works? It might be. What's up, Ilvis Freshly? Sorry, we're heading off here. Had to end a little bit early, but love you guys, appreciate you. And I will be back streaming probably this Sunday. Damn. These weeks go by fast, don't they? Alright. Bye-bye.